Welcome to True Story. Tonight, we delve into a case that is as shocking as it is tragic. The murder of 19-year-old Aya Hacham in Blackburn, UK in 2020.
This case didn't end with one arrest. It unraveled into a chain of lies, favors, and secret deals that pulled 10 people into the same crime. And the way they tried to hide it is almost impossible to believe. The story we're looking at takes us back to 2020 in Blackburn, UK. 19-year-old Aya Hacham's death was a devastating blow to her family. She had simply stepped out to buy a few groceries from a nearby shop, and she never made it back home. The Hacham family had moved to the UK from Lebanon in November 2011. Like so many parents starting over in a new country, Ya's father, Ismail, wanted his children to grow up somewhere safe, get a good education, and build a solid future. After receiving asylum and eventually their residency, the family settled in Blackburn. Ya was driven, bright, and full of big plans. At the time of her death, she was a second-year law student at Salford University. For her parents, what happened felt painfully unfair. They had uprooted their lives for a safer future only to lose their daughter in the middle of the day on a street she walked all the time. On May 17, 2020, around 3 p.m., Ya left home to grab a few things from a supermarket close to the house. When she didn't return and stopped answering her phone, her father went out to look for her. Around the same time, a police helicopter began circling overhead, and the street Ha would have walked down had been blocked off. Her mother searched online to see what was happening and came across breaking news. A woman had been shot in their area. Moments later, Ya's parents received the call that no parent is ever prepared for. The victim was their daughter. Ya had been walking along King Street when a car with several people inside drove past. Someone inside fired 2 shots. One of them hit Ha. She was rushed to the hospital in critical condition, but despite the doctor's efforts, she didn't survive. Later that day, police announced that they didn't believe the shooting was motivated by racial or religious hatred. Deputy Chief Terry Woods urged anyone with dashcam or CCTV footage to come forward, especially if it showed a Toyota Aventus or anything unusual.
My name is Terry Woods, Deputy Chief Constable of Lancashire Police. I'm on King Street at the moment, and yesterday on King Street at about 3 o'clock, tragically, a young 19-year-old, wonderfully promising lady, Aya Hacham, was shot dead. We believe that Aya was a completely innocent bystander who just simply gone to grab some food shopping for a family and was caught when a vehicle, a Toyota Aventus, which was green, grey in colour, registration, Sierra Victor 53, uniform Bravo Papa, drove past and shot 2 rounds. We believe 2 rounds, one of those rounds hit Aya, but as I said, we believe she is completely innocent bystander. Our thoughts and condolences go out to the Aya's family and friends in the community, and our commitment is that we will throw as much of our might and resources behind this investigation to bring justice for both Aya and her family. And I'd just like to make 3 appeals. The first one is the Toyota Aventus. If anybody's got any footage, dash cam, mobile phone, CCTV, or you even saw the vehicle yesterday, please come forward. If in the last month you've been driving around Blackburn and you've got a dash cam, please check that footage for the last month. If you've got that Toyota Aventus, please come forward via our website and get us the footage. If you were here yesterday, please don't assume that we've got the information that you have. Please come forward and contact us.
Just a couple of hours later, officers found the Toyota Aventus used in the shooting abandoned not far from the scene. They also obtained CCTV footage capturing the moment Ha was shot.
Now, let's look at what actually happened. It's 3:03 p.m. Ya is walking down King Street. The CCTV camera that recorded the moment sits on the side of a car wash and service shop. Ya walks along the pavement, and just as she approaches a pole on the sidewalk, the Toyota we mentioned earlier drives past her. The rear left window is rolled down. A shot is fired. The bullet misses her, goes through the air, and hits the pole. For ethical reasons, police didn't release the part of the footage showing Ya collapsing, but from what is visible, it's clear there were at least 2 people in the car, the driver and the shooter. Right after the shooting, they sped away and ditched the vehicle on a nearby street. Less music, then 2 hours later, police found the abandoned Toyota and immediately began tracing its owner. At the same time, forensic teams started going through the car looking for anything that could point them toward who was responsible. Before we get into the findings of the investigation or the cause of Ya's death, we need to understand the people connected to this case. The first is 40-year-old Faroose Sulleman. On the surface, he seemed like a successful businessman with a comfortable life. He ran a tire shop that had grown popular over the years, and it earned him enough to support his family and enjoy the lifestyle he liked to show online, often posting photos of himself with new expensive cars.
How you doing, guys? My name's Faz from Toyota Tires. This is our first vlog, and I can see obviously Selly's in the background. Get Selly here. Get Selly because he gets shy. There we are. So basically we're going to start vlogging our everyday life about the cars that come into our garage. We're going to be vlogging the BMW M5 2018. We got it last week, but I've just not had a chance to get this vlogging done.
But the problems in this story weren't caused by someone being jealous of him. His business ran smoothly until a new car wash opened nearby, owned by a man named Pacha Khan. At first, there was no issue, but things changed when Khan expanded his services and started selling car tires as well. That move put the two businesses in direct competition, and it didn't go over well. Sulleman's profits dropped, tensions grew, and the situation escalated quickly. The feud between staff from both shops became so heated that police were called out multiple times to break up arguments and fights. And as you've probably already figured out, Ya happened to be walking past Khan's car wash at the exact moment the shot was fired. Shortly after Ya's death, police began making arrests connected to the shooting. The investigation turned into a large operation, even involving officers from outside the UK because some of the suspects had already left the country. In the early stages, 8 people were charged in Aya Hacham's case: 32-year-old Abu Bakr Satya, 31-year-old Anthony Enis, 35-year-old Ayaz Hussein, 26-year-old Kashif Mansour, 29-year-old Umankarat Musia, 33-year-old Zamir Raja, 28-year-old Judy Chapman, and 40-year-old Faroose Sulleman. Now, let's go back to the reason this happened in the first place. Ya's death was not planned. She wasn't the intended target. She was simply walking past the wrong spot at the wrong moment. The real target was Khan, the owner of the car wash, because Faroose Sulleman had hired someone to kill him as a way to get rid of business competition. Let's break down the shooting itself. In the footage, Ya is only a few feet from the pole. The first shot misses everyone. You can actually see water splashing, showing that the bullet hit something next to a man standing nearby. The shooter made a major mistake. The person he aimed at wasn't Khan. It was an employee who worked there. When the second shot was fired, Ya happened to be in the line of fire between the shooter and that employee. The bullet hit her on the left side of her chest,
Passed through, and then struck the pole behind her. The car sped off immediately afterward. Khan, the car wash owner, saw her fall. He ran over, tried to help, and called emergency services.
It happened. Basically, I saw the car, saw the gun. I saw the gun. They went fast, and then they came back. They shoot. They holding the gun on me, like, when they come around, I said, what? And they start shooting on me. She was just walking around. She was walking. She was going to go somewhere. So you think that they were shooting at you initially and then caught her instead?
Not responsive? Is she breathing?
No, she's not responsive. She has got very weak pulse. We're just starting CPI.
Okay. Come on, keep going, guys. Doing well. Keep going.
Keep going.
Any second, be able to see them in seconds. All right, now let's go over the roles each of the suspects played. We'll start with the person who ordered the attack. When Sulleman's business started losing money, he decided that the best way to solve the problem was to remove his competitor. And even though he would obviously be one of the first people investigators would look at, he went through with it anyway. Ayaz Hussein helped find the people willing to carry out the attack. That included Zamir Raja, who pulled the trigger, and Anthony Enis, who drove the Toyota that day. The day before the shooting, the group drove past the car wash to check out the area. In the lead up to the attack, Abu Bakr Satya bought the Toyota using money supplied by Sulleman. Kashif Mansour made sure the car would actually run when they needed it, handling repairs and checking for any issues. Uman Sashia and his girlfriend Judy Chapman were the ones who drove the shooter and the driver. They picked them up in their Ford Fiesta, took them to the spot where the Toyota was parked, and later picked them up again after the shooting once the car had been abandoned. Here's the timeline of what happened that day. At 1:14 p.m., Judy and Ullman picked up Zamir Raja and Anthony Enis from Bolton and drove them to Blackburn, where the Toyota had been left earlier. The distance between the two towns is roughly 13 miles. While they were on their way, Kashif Manzoor was nearby, making sure the Toyota was working properly. It was parked a couple miles away from the car wash. Meanwhile, Sulleman positioned himself right in front of his own shop. He wanted a clear view of everything as it unfolded. But there was a problem. The Toyota wouldn't start. The battery was dead. Manzoor ended up jump-starting it using another vehicle. Once it was running, he handed the car over to Raja and Enis and walked back toward the service station. In the footage, you can see the Toyota coming around the corner with the rear window rolled down. Raja and Enis drove past the car wash several times, waiting for the right moment. They needed to be on the same side of the street as Khan's business to take the shot. During this time, Manzoor and Sulleman can be seen watching everything from outside the shop. On the fourth pass, the Toyota slowed down. Khan, the intended target, was outside.
Head at that moment.
Raja fired the first shot, but he aimed at the wrong person, hitting nothing. The second shot, as we know now, struck Aya as she walked by. After the shooting, Raja and Enis sped off, ditched the Toyota, and got into the Fiesta with Judy and Ullman, who drove them out of Blackburn. By around 5 p.m., police had already found the abandoned Toyota. Even before locating the car, officers who still had no idea who was involved had stopped by Sulleman's tire shop to check his CCTV footage. While an officer was reviewing the video,
Aya Hacham, the man who had arranged for Raja and Enis to carry out the attack, walked into the shop. Sulleman pointed him toward the door, and everyone who was involved slipped upstairs to the second floor. What they discussed up there isn't known. In the surveillance footage, you can see officers reviewing the video while Abu Bakr Satya, the man who bought the Toyota Aventus, sits behind them. As he's sitting there, he hears someone on the police radio announce that the suspect's getaway car has been found. Almost immediately, Satya stands up and heads straight to Sulleman, clearly needing to talk to him. 9 days after Aya's death, the shooter, Zamir Raja, flew to Portugal. At the airport in Lisbon, he met up with Anthony Enis, the driver. Enis had also fled the UK. Meanwhile, the client, Faroose Sulleman, was arrested the day after the shooting on May 18th. Abu Bakr Satya was arrested on May 19th. Judy Chapman and Oman Satya were arrested on May 20th. Aya Hacham and Kashif Manzoor were taken into custody on May 21st. Raja, who thought he could slip back into England quietly, was arrested at a London train station on June 6th, and Enis was found and arrested in Spain on July 4th, then extradited back to the UK. All of the suspects were charged with taking Aya Hacham's life, as well as conspiring to kill Khan, the car wash owner. As expected, every one of them denied being involved. But that didn't last. Before long, they started pointing fingers at each other, each one trying to minimize their own part in the plan. They didn't want to spend the rest of their lives in prison, so the police ended up learning every detail of how the attack was arranged. The verdicts were delivered on August 5, 2021. Faroose Sulleman was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 34 years before he can be considered for parole. This wasn't even his first serious offense. In 2001, he was involved in a hit-and-run that killed a 67-year-old man. He abandoned his car afterward and tried to claim it had been stolen. It didn't work, and he served 3.5 years for that crime. The shooter, Raja, received the same sentence as Sulleman, life with a minimum term of 34 years. He agreed to take part in the attack for £1,500. The driver, Anthony Enis, was also given a life sentence with a minimum term of 33 years. Aya Hacham, the one who connected everyone and arranged for the shooter and driver, received life with a minimum of 32 years. And Abu Bakr Satya, who bought the Toyota Aventus used in the attack, was sentenced to life with a minimum term of 28 years. Oman Satya, the one who handled the transportation for the shooter and the driver, was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 28 years. Kashif Manzoor, who made sure the Toyota was working that day, also received a life sentence with a minimum of 27 years. During sentencing, the judge didn't hold back. He said, "None of you showed any remorse after the shooting.
Instead, you tried to lie, scheme, and cover for each other. It didn't take long before you all started turning on one another to save yourselves. In October 2021, Judy Chapman, the woman who drove the Ford Fiesta, was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter in Aya Hacham's death. She was sentenced to 15 years in prison. But the case didn't end there. After going through messages and conversations between the people already convicted, investigators discovered others who had played a role. On May 5, 2023, 42-year-old Louis Away from Manchester was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 32 years. During the trial, prosecutors showed that Away acted as the link between Ayaz Hussein, Zamir Raja, and Anthony Enis. In other words, he helped Hussein track down the people who would carry out the attack. There was also another woman involved, Callie Banbridge. She became the 10th and final person convicted in the case. Prosecutors explained that on the day of the shooting, Banbridge drove to Bolton to meet with Raja and Enis. She collected their phones, both switched off, and then drove back toward Trafford. She turned Enis's phone on in Partington, the area where he lived, and later switched Raja's phone on in Sale. According to Lancaster police, her actions were meant to make it look like Raja and Enis were in Greater Manchester, not Blackburn, at the time of the shooting. Essentially, she was helping provide a false alibi. Banbridge, who was 32, pleaded guilty to conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. She was sentenced on August 11, 2023, and received 23 months in prison. One final note. Salford University, where Aya Hacham was studying law, awarded her degree to her parents. The ceremony took place in November 2021. Her family said Aya Hacham had always dreamed of becoming a lawyer. If you found this story powerful or eye-opening, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We share new true crime stories every night, shining a light on the truth behind the headlines.
If you found this story powerful or eye-opening, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We share new true crime stories every night, shining a light on the truth behind the headlines.